All right, thank you very much for coming. We had an excellent turnout with student presentations. There were 17 students competing for the 2 awards. If you were one of those students, would you please stand up so we could recognize you if you competed and gave a presentation? All right, thank you. Excellent. So even though we had so many wonderful presentations, we did have to narrow it down to 2. And the winners are, for Best Oral Presentation, Tyler Lark. Tyler, would you come on up if you are here? Looks like Tyler is here. Thank you, Tyler. And I'll have also the winner for the Best Oral Presentation with a conservation application. That was Paula Perig. Are you okay? Okay, Paula, if you are here, come on up too. No, Paula's not here. Okay, so you get all the limelight then. We have a certificate for you on behalf of the society and a gift. Sand County Almanac donated by the Nelson Institute and a book donated by Island Press. So thank you very much, Tyler, and congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay. Oh, sure, maybe in the light. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, Tyler.
Is a representative from the Conservation Marketing Working Group here? Diego? Are you? Great. So the next award will be given by Diego.
So this year, the Conservation Marketing Working Group has for the first time awarded the Building Nature's Brand Award, as we call it, the Brandy. So it was a really exciting process, and we're really proud of our winner this year, who has made very impressive strides in the use of marketing principles for a project with the Butterfly Highway in North Carolina. And our winner this year is Angelique Yarding. Angelique, you here? Yes, there she is.
Finally, as a representative of SCB North America, I'll be awarding the Edward T. LaRoe III Award. This is the most prominent of SCB's Distinguished Service Awards. Since 1995, we've awarded this award to an individual who's been a leader in translating principles of conservation biology into real-world conservation. Preference is given to employees of government agencies or individuals who have spent part of their career in public service. Now, this award honors Ted LaRoe, who was Chief Scientist for NOAA's Coastal Zone Management Program, a founder and director of the Coastal Society, and a principal author of the National Wetland Classification System. As I mentioned, SCB has awarded this award annually since 1995. After 2011, when we moved to a ICCB international conference every 2 years, in 2012 and 2014, unfortunately, we did not award a LaRoe Award, so I'm glad to say that we're back on the annual cycle of awarding this award because there are a lot of worthy candidates out there. This year we had a number of very worthy nominees, but after a lot of deliberation, the committee selected Dr. Barbara Taylor of NOAA Fisheries as the awardee for 2016. Would you come up to the podium? Throughout her career as a NOAA scientist, Dr. Taylor has significantly improved the conservation and management of marine resources, particularly marine mammals. Dr. Taylor has used her creativity, powers of logical reasoning, and impressive quantitative skills to develop methods that enable government agencies to make better policy and management decisions. Dr. Taylor is highly skilled, whether she's identifying critical conservation gaps or solving them empirically, or translating science when talking to reporters, government officials, or young scientists. She's able to seamlessly link policy, science, and public understanding, the three critical components for advancing conservation. She's also an accomplished artist. You can find her work at barbarataylorartist.com. So it's my great honor to award the 2016 Lareau Award to Dr. Barbara Taylor. Thank you.
Thank you. He just fled. I must be too scary. Well, I really want to thank the Society for this great honor. And of course, everything in conservation is a team. So I think this is really one that's going to Team Vaquita. And I'm going to use this as an opportunity to really tell you a little bit more about a species I care a lot about. So I was told you're all really tired of PowerPoint, but I couldn't resist a prop. So I'm going to show you what a vaquita is. So what is a vaquita? A vaquita obviously is a really tiny porpoise. It's a little bit smaller than I am. It has a beautiful goth makeup job. It's got the eyeshadow thing going and black lipstick that outlines its really haunting, a permanent smile. A vaquita is also the panda of Mexico. It's their largest endemic mammal, and it's an animal that is a guardian for a really unique habitat. It lives in a little tiny place in the far northern part of the Gulf of California, a place that has many other endemic species. And a vaquita is also a species that is on the brink of extinction. So I'm going to sort of mix things and tell the story of vaquita, sort of blended in with my own career story. I started out my career by living over a year on the Arctic ice, and I ended up my career in the hottest marine environment on the planet. And I started work with bowhead whales. Bowhead whales are very different. They live to be routinely over 100 years old. They were almost wiped out in the 1880s by Yankee whalers. And in the 1980s, when I was studying them, the threat was a presumed unsustainable kill by the Eskimo whalers. And the whalers thought actually the researchers were the threat to their livelihood. And by the end of my research time there, I was working for the Eskimo government, and they used our collaborative data to come up with quotas. And today, there are 4 times as many bowheads as there were when I was there, and over half of the bowheads that swim the sea were born since I did my research there. So it's been a huge success story that has provided sort of an optimism that has lasted throughout my career. And I really needed that in 2006 when I was one of the leaders for the survey that went out to try to find the last of the Chinese river dolphins and put them into protected areas. We failed. We found not a single Baiji. And the loss of a species that's been here for 35 million years, it still takes my breath away, but it gave me a renewed commitment to not make that conservation mistake of taking your eye off the ball when you are dealing with a critically endangered species. And so after the demise of the Baiji, the vaquita became the most endangered marine mammal on the planet. And we were bound and determined not to let the same thing happen. Vaquitas have a single threat. They're killed in gill nets that are used by small type fisheries. And they're notoriously difficult to survey. And so we needed to come up with a way that we could report back what the status of vaquitas were on a much more regular basis. And we developed acoustic methods to be able to monitor this species. The government of Mexico, meanwhile, responded to our plea to help this species by putting 50% of their habitat in a completely fishing-free zone. And they expected our acoustic monitoring was going to show recovery. What we found instead will be published in the next issue of Conservation Biology. And it was a shocking 34% per year decline in vaquita between 2011 and 2015. What happened? Well, what happened was our monitoring documented the resurgence of an illegal fishery for another endemic species of the northern Gulf of California, the Tote Wobba. The Tote Wobba is an enormous fish, quite a lot bigger than I am, sort of linebacker sized. And its swim bladder, which is used to adjust buoyancy for the fish, was highly prized in the Chinese black market. It's worth tens of thousands of dollars and is used for medicinal purposes. And it was the resurgence of Tote Wobba that caused this massive decline. When I reported this to the Presidential Commission on Vaquita in Mexico City, the government really took this seriously, and they instituted a 2-year complete ban of gill nets throughout the distribution of vaquitas. And they put the Navy in charge of enforcement. So the Navy has been doing its best together with Sea Shepherd's Operation Milagro, but the Tote Wobba fishery continued last season. Unfortunately, the price is too large and the penalties are too small. So we have a situation which is very critical for this species, and they found another 3 dead vaquitas. 3 dead vaquitas is a lot because the survey that we did last fall showed there were only 60 individuals remaining. So why should we care? Well, vaquitas are victims of gill nets set by these small type artisanal fisheries. These fisheries occur throughout the world, and every single year, hundreds of thousands of marine mammals die. Marine mammals, and I might add, other apex predators. And people care about these top predators. If we lose the top predators from our coastal and riverine ecosystems, there will be very few people who will care enough to change these fisheries into something that can be sustained in these coastal ecosystems. The other reason we should care is the U.S. is an enormous consumer of seafood. 80% of the shrimp that come out of those nets that are killing vaquitas are consumed in the U.S. And we need to insist that the things that we buy, the seafood that we put on our plate, is not driving species extinct. And then there's the China thing. I mean, that was a crushing blow, clearly, for vaquita conservation. But unfortunately, the trade in illegal species is on the rise. It's increasing while the species are decreasing. And we need to work together as a group, all of us, to try to reverse this trend of increased trade in endangered species. So after finding that there were only 60 vaquitas left, I'm very sorry to report that a very common reaction from scientists is to say, well, vaquita are clearly doomed. You should move on and go back to doing other things. And vaquitas are not doomed. Mexico has 2 of the best success stories for marine mammals. Northern elephant seals and Guadalupe fur seals both numbered fewer than the 60 vaquitas remaining when they were at their lowest point, and now there are hundreds of thousands of those individuals out there. So it's really a matter of the will to do this. And I want to leave you with an acronym. I work for the US government, so of course I have to give you an acronym. I think it's a requirement. And it is GASP. It is Guardians Against Self-Fulfilling Prophecies. So I frequently, fortunately, talk with high-level officials. I have a very good relationship with the Minister of the Environment of Mexico, and they ask me the question, is it too late for vaquita? And what would happen if I or my Mexican vaquita colleagues said yes? That is a self-fulfilling prophecy. And so it's really an important facet of what I've learned in my career is that we need to be pragmatic optimists And it's really sort of should be in the job description for every conservation biologist that they need to guard against self-fulfilling prophecies. Thank you.
Thank you very much,
Thank
Dr.
you.
Taylor. We have time for questions, if there are any audience questions. Amanda?
Well, that's a very good question. You need to recharge the batteries. I mean, I do it with a paintbrush and getting out in nature, going out there. And I have to say, there are really encouraging things that are happening. We keep moving forward. For example, I got an email, 2 emails in the last 2 days that made me happy. One was a group has been working on ways to get gill nets out of the water, and they came up with this fabulous idea of hiring the fishermen to pull cables with grappling hooks through the water to pull out, find the ghost and not ghost nets, and then having ships move in. Sea Shepherd has been just fabulous here, and get those nets out of the water. And for the first time, there's a letter that was sent by the fisheries department that they're really going to step up their work on developing alternative gears. So we keep making steps in the right direction, and we just have to stay positive that those are going to work and that they're going to be enough. Thank you.